Stop applying to the wrong departments or stop applying the wrong way to departments. Let's discuss. Hey, before we get started, I have two gifts in the description for you. One is the Getting Started workshop. It's going to walk you through every phase of the hiring process. Plus, there's some hidden bonuses in there. Additionally, we also have a free coaching call with a member of my team. Jump on it, use it, go over whatever you need to discuss your hiring process. We'll help guide you along the way. Now, I've seen a lot of our coaching members, as well as just individuals, reaching out saying, hey, I applied to this many departments, or I applied to this department and this happened, or I immediately got disqualified, or I was ineligible, so I got disqualified. Don't do that. I've mentioned this before. I'm going to always continue to mention this. The preparation phase is key. And inside the preparation phase is doing a department audit. And number 2 of a department audit is the department obtainable? And are you eligible? So we're going to break that down today. Here's what a obtainable department looks like. They're currently hiring. And when I say currently hiring, I mean they have an open announcement for hiring. Not, oh, please submit your application and we'll put you on the next round of lists when we have an opening. Now, if this is your dream department and you never want to apply to any other department a day in your life, great. You can do that, right? Or you say, hey, I might be willing to lateral to this department down the line. Great. You can put your name on that list. But if you're looking to get hired and you're looking to get hired now with an actual available department, apply to one that is currently hiring. Try to stay away from hiring pool agencies. There's a lot of departments. And when I say a lot, I don't mean, the majority, but there's quite a few departments out there that put candidates on a hiring pool. And what that means is they'll create a list, and sometimes they rank the list, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just go in order based on when you applied, right? And they'll put individuals on a list, and they'll use that list until it's dried up. Now, I kind of like some aspects of that, because at least that way you're not just getting rid of candidates, and you're actually filtering through candidates, and you're making sure that you don't disqualify one or make them non-select just because you filled your billets, right? That's one thing. It's much better for a candidate, for you, the candidate, to say, oh, yeah, I applied to ABC department. Well, what's your status with them? Oh, I'm no longer in the hiring process. Why not? Oh, well, I was on their cert list, but the cert list expires every year, and it expired and I didn't reapply. That sounds great, right? A lot better than, oh, I was non-selected and they didn't give me a reason. Or even worse, oh, I was DQ'd, and obviously they don't provide a reason, right? Sounds a whole lot better when you articulate it that way. But why be on a list for a year unaware if that department's going to even contact you? That's a whole lot of time to be on a list. And then that takes away one of your 3 departments. Now, that's where I draw the line. I say 3 departments, no more, no less usually, because at that point in time, it's easy to articulate, hey, I've applied to my top 3 departments. Your department's right at the top. I reviewed dozens of departments, and these were the 3 that I settled on. That sounds great. Doesn't sound like you're just shotgunning your resume out there, but it also sounds like, hey, I have options and I'm willing to work with any good department, right? But I'm not just shotgunning my resume out. So at least you're a little bit more consistent, and it's easy for departments to understand that. Now, that being said, right, going through the process and understanding which department to apply to, that's a full department audit. As I said, number 2 is obtainable and eligible. So sticking with the obtainable right now, they're currently hiring and they're within a commutable distance, or you're willing to relocate, right? So I draw the line is if it's an hour one way without traffic, that's where you draw the line. I would not commute any farther than that, because then you hit traffic and it takes longer, especially if you're in a city and it's rush hour and things like that. No, you're going to hate your life. It's going to wear on you even more than the career already would, right? Especially early on. It's not ideal. You might be late to shift because of traffic. It's not going to be a good way to start off your career. Wouldn't recommend it. If it's outside that hour and you're not willing to relocate to it, then don't apply, right? That's where I kind of draw the line. Now, that does limit the amount of departments you can apply to, and that can come back and bite you later on. Say if you mess up a poly or a psych with one department and you're applying all to the same area and they all use the same psychologist. But we've covered that in different videos, and we'll cover that again in the future. For the most part right now, obtainability, currently hiring, and they're within a commutable distance. Eligibility. Eligibility means you meet the requirements. Let's start at the big one that I've been seeing. A lateral position, when it says police officer, hiring police officer lateral in parentheses, or lateral police officer, means that someone who's already an existing police officer that meets the lateral criteria. So you need to be already a sworn law enforcement officer. Most states, in order to be a law enforcement officer, a lateral, you need to have been a law enforcement officer in that state. And it's usually for a point of time, maybe 1 or 2 years, maybe 3, right? That's a lateral. Do not apply to these departments. I'm going to wrap this all up in the end and as to why you don't apply to this. But do not apply to those positions. You're ineligible if you're not already a law enforcement officer in that state that meet that requirement. Some states allow out-of-state laterals. Look into it. Do your research there on that. But for you specifically, if you're not a lateral, don't apply to lateral. So what does that mean that you're looking for? You're looking for new police officers, police officer trainees, police recruits, police officer no experience, anything along those lines, right? Sometimes it even says police recruit, police cadet. Just make sure you're reading it and it's actually, you going into the academy, getting a commission and not some type of internship or things like that. But you're looking for that right position. Now, identifying that right position that you're eligible for, if you click on that and it says, hey, new police officer, police recruit, or whatever it is that you click on, and you click on it, and then it says, 60 college credits, but you don't have 60 college credits, don't apply. You're ineligible. You're just going to get disqualified right off the bat, and then you have to articulate that. Worst type of articulation would say, oh, yeah, I applied to a department I was ineligible for. Okay, zero attention to detail there, something law enforcement officers need. That's not going to look good. Best type of articulation, oh, yeah, I applied. I made a mistake. Unfortunately, I didn't meet the criteria for that position as of right now. That's the best type of articulation you would have surrounding an incident like that. So, right, they're currently hiring. They're within a commutable distance. You meet the educational requirements, right? If they say, hey, you need a high school diploma or a GED and you don't have that, right? You need to be a U.S. citizen and you don't have that, don't apply. Apply to a place that doesn't require that. If they say, hey, you need, 60 credits, you don't have it, or 120 credits, you don't have it. If it says that you need to have 3 years of recent employment history and you haven't been employed for the last 3 years, right? That's going to be an issue. Now, what happens if it says, hey, education requirements, high school diploma / GED, preferred bachelor's or associates or bachelor's? Technically, you're eligible. And what that means is if they prefer that, then that's the people they're going to give preference to. So in order for you to get hired over those people, you're going to have to show why you're a better candidate in other areas. Usually what we do with people that have an associate's or a bachelor's, we'll give them what's called preference points, maybe 3 for an associate's, 5 for a bachelor's, or 3 and 6, or 5 and 10, whatever. And then we accumulate it all at the end with, PT scores, written exam scores, board interview scores, and then, any added bonus. Do they have any additional training, or do they have any law enforcement, any public safety training? Do they have any degrees? And then we give them a score and we're like, okay, we're going to give these top 10 people, knowing that we have 8 billets, right? And all 10 won't get through. We're going to give these top 10 people moving forward. Or we have 10 spots. We're going to give 10 people a conditional offer, but we're going to move forward 15 people. But the top 10 are going to get a conditional offer, right? Which means if they fall out, then we'll move to the next person. But that's a lot of the time how we do it. So what's that mean for you and analyzing and applying to the right department and not applying to the wrong department or messing this up? If you're going to apply and you're not going to check the eligibility or requirements, you're going to apply to the wrong department, they're going to disqualify you. That looks bad when you apply to the next department. Whether the reason is for easy articulation, imagine this. I'm applying to, let's say someone's applied to 6 departments, right? Against my better judgment, someone's applied to 6 departments. The first person applied to 3, got disqualified from the initial 3 because they didn't meet eligibility requirements. They were applying to laterals, to education requirements they didn't have, and something else, right? They didn't make it past the written exam. The next person applied to to 6 departments, and they're still in the process with all 6. Well, the person that applied to 3 and is only in the process with 3 right now, but got disqualified, that's the person that they're going to look into the most, right? They're going to say, why were you disqualified? And yes, articulation can help and can move the process along faster. But that's only if you articulate yourself well and they believe you on top of that, right? They're still going to want to reach out to those departments, make sure that you're not being dishonest and you didn't get disqualified for some other reason, and then go from there. Whereas the other person, they're just looking at this person saying, well, yeah, this person applied to 6 departments. It's unideal. We're competing against 6 departments. We don't know how committed they are to this department. But at the same point in time, they've never been DQ'd yet. So maybe they're a strong candidate. If we push them through quickly, we might be able to snag them up, right? That's how they might look at it. But at the same point, neither one of those are ideal situations. It would be more ideal to just have someone apply to their top 3 departments, right? Be able to articulate, these are my top 3. This is why I only applied to 3, because I applied to the 3 that I'm most interested in working with, and not have any disqualifications under their belt. That would be the ideal situation. For a department, the ideal situation for a department is you apply to them and them only, and you've never been disqualified before, but then you're putting all your eggs in that one basket, and that department can move as slow as they want to with you because they're not competing against someone else. Right? They have no desire to hurry up with the hiring process because they say, oh, if we get him in on this recruitment cycle or next recruitment cycle, what's it matter? He's only applied to us, right? So if they messed it up or dropped the ball, it's not a big deal, right? They might still get you, and all they care about is the long term, filling all the empty billets that they have, trying to do it in each hiring cycle, right? Okay, hey, we need to hire 20 or fill 25 billets on this hiring cycle, 25 billets on the next hiring cycle, and 25 billets on the third hiring cycle, or, however they want to do it, 50, 100, it doesn't matter. So this is something that I would strongly advise that you take the time to get right. Now let's kind of pivot here and go into what I'm seeing when you apply to too many departments. If you apply to too many departments, it looks like this. Oh, hey, I have 10 open applications, or I've applied to 20 departments. 10 of them told me no, or I didn't finish all the hiring processes with all of them, and I'm still in the process with 10. Well, I'm speaking from experience, a recent experience with a recent coaching member of mine, who was at the finish line right there at the end. And thankfully it worked out. He articulated himself well. But he had applied to multiple departments, and a lot of departments had told him no. And it wasn't because he was a bad candidate. He struggled with certain phases of the hiring process early on. We managed to get him through that. Then he struggled with other parts of the hiring process in the latter part. And, we managed to wind up setting us back. That winded up slowing us down. Then departments started looking in and saying, hey, what's going on? Why aren't you getting hired? He was younger, so his age was becoming a factor at that point in time. So he's in the process with his department, or the current department that he's working with, and he sits down for the executive interview, and it's the head of the department as well as with a couple of the more senior executive members of the department, and they're looking at him and saying, hey, you've applied to a lot of departments. Why would I invest in you, spend all the money to send you to the academy, spend all the time invested in training you, getting you on board, when it looks like you're just going to jump ship because you've applied to too many departments? You've applied to so many. You just want to get on somewhere. You're going to use that department as a stepping stone to try and get to where you want to go. That's what they were asking him. And he had to articulate this. I mean, he's right. The offer letter is sitting there in front of him, right? He's been doing this for a long time. It's his dream, it's his passion, and the offer letter is sitting in front of him. And imagine being said that, knowing that what you say next is going to determine whether or not that offer letter goes to your hand or back in the desk. And that's a conundrum. And that was one of the major pressing factors that this member, right, had to articulate to the executive member of the department, because the executive member of the department thought, hey, I don't want to spend my time and fill this billet only if you're going to leave, and I'm going to have to redo this entire hiring process all over again. He was an eligible candidate. He was a great candidate. He is a great law enforcement officer, and he's going to become an even better law enforcement officer as he completes his training. But at the same point in time, there's still that psychological hold that, hey, you've applied to so many departments. can I trust that you're going to be loyal to this department and stay here and earn all the effort that we put into with the hiring process, with the training process, with FTO, which is more training. We're going to invest in your career. You're going to take all you can, and are we going to get a return out of it? That's the concern you're seeing with a lot of departments, especially with higher attrition rate, which from officers either retiring, lateraling, or resigning completely. So that major factor there. If you're going to do this, right, if you're going to get out here and apply to law enforcement, here's how I recommend doing it. Take it, leave it, it's whatever you want to do. Take the time to review all the departments in your area that you may have an interest in. Go through, review them, do some simple research, see if they've been in any trouble recently, and identify this. 1, does it meet your financial needs for you, your family, whatever? Always add 10 to 15 or 15 to 25% to the base salary, because you're going to make it in incentives and overtime and things like that. Number 2, is it obtainable, which means they're currently hiring and they're within a commutable distance or you're willing to relocate. And are you eligible? You meet the requirements. Get on their website, get on that hiring announcement, make sure, go to qualifications and make sure you meet those qualifications. And then number 3, do you support their mission? Is this a department that's in the newspaper for not doing things all the right way or constantly being sued, and you're saying, hey, I don't know if I want to work or start my career with that department? Make sure, like, oh, I want to change this department from the inside out. No, make sure it's a department that you can grow and learn from, and then climb the ladder. And then if you want to become the chief of another department or an executive member to make a positive impact on another department, you can, right? That's what I would recommend. That's how I would do it. That's the best way. We call that a department audit. And if you identify the top 3 departments that you want to apply to, and you submit those applications just to those 3, and you can, if one says no, you can always put another one in that 3rd billet position, right? You can always have 3 and you can use the same articulation when they ask, hey, why'd you apply to multiple departments? Well, I applied to the top 3 that I was interested in working for. Well, how it happened with this department? Unfortunately, that department said they weren't moving forward with me, and that's it. That's how I would do it. I hope this helps. In the description, we have those gifts for you. The Getting Started Workshop, walk you through every phase of the hiring process, plus those hidden bonuses. On top of it, the other gift we have is the free coaching call with a member of my team. Jump on it. They're there to help. They'll be glad to sit down, walk you through any part of your specific hiring process, and give you any guidance they can. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.